Good morning. Welcome to Industry Chats with Affixify. I am Jasmine Saliga, your host and founder of Affixify, and we are so excited this morning and afternoon, depending on which time zone you're in, to have Nick Horgan with Amaze Insights and Michael Choen with Gain Advisors. This is just such an honor, and we are a few days out from HITEC. Cannot believe it. So we are going to talk all things HITEC today. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. And I'm so excited to be here with two of my favorite people in the industry, Michael, Jasmine. Great to see you both. And great to see everyone who is joining us for the chat.
And listen, I am very happy to be here with one of my favorite people in the industry. You guys can decide which one.
Thanks, Michael.
And the other one is a pretty good too. But thank you for the opportunity, Jasmine.
Thank you. Well, we're thrilled. And guys, before we jump in, give us a really quick, I feel that each of you need no introduction to anyone joining today, but would you each, starting with you, Nick, give us a quick intro on who you are, a little bit about Amaze Insights, and if you know off the top of your head, like how many HITECs have you been to?
So this will be HITEC number 27 for me. I am Nick Horgan with Amaze Insights, and I absolutely love what I do. What we're doing is reshaping reporting in the industry, and we are about to do much more than that. So we'll have some big announcements that are coming out relatively soon on that.
Can't wait. Teaser. Michael, go for it. Tell us a bit more about Gain.
Sure. I'm Michael Choen, one of the co-founders and co-managing partner of Growth Advisors International Network, Gain. And we are a global travel and hospitality tech and innovation advisory organization. And we work with enterprise, startup, scale up, vendor side, buy side with the hoteliers, et cetera. And very, very lucky to do what I do, and really blessed. And also I'm a nomad exec. I live consistently around the world in slow travel for the last 3 years. So I actually live some of the technology in the travel and hospitality space on a day-to-day basis that we espouse and commercialize and scale. So it gives me a little bit of a fun perspective on some of the things that we do.
And you get to make the rest of us jealous with all of your amazing spots, Michael. So thank you for that.
I was going to say, you always make me jealous with your backgrounds and your selfies, and I'm over here like cleaning the kitchen. So I love watching your travels. And guys, HITEC. So here we are. In fact, Nick and I were just saying it's our friendiversary/anniversary. We met at HITEC last year. He was one of our Affixify mentors. And then Michael, we met not long before that. So we want to know all the things today. You guys have a lot of years under your belt, a lot of experience. And first and foremost, we want to kick off with, what should our hoteliers know before heading into HITEC? So that's our first question today. Nick, we're going to kick it off with you. If you had to pull 2 key things for a hotelier listening right now, that they're walking in, maybe it's their first HITEC, maybe it's not, but it's overwhelming. There's all of these vendors. There's so many parties and events. 2 things a hotelier should know about HITEC. Nick, what would you tell them?
Absolutely. So I'm going to say 3, but one of them is just wear very comfortable shoes. So that part is you're definitely going to be doing some walking. And then you'll realize with this trade show, it is large and there is a great deal going on. So having a plan for who you want to make sure you see, and the HFTP org and HITEC do a great job with an app that includes a map of the entire trade show. And I really do think it is worth spending some time ahead of time and making sure those vendors that you want to see, you look at where their booths are going to be located and get there. And then the other thing I would say is find a way to get on the list for Michael's Gain event, because 2 years in a row, it has been by far the best event at HITEC. And this year he's doing something even bigger. So I'll let him speak to that. But if you can find a way to get yourself on that VIP list, you are 100% going to want to be there, because it is going to be absolutely epic.
Love that. Those are great points. I hope our audience is taking notes right now. I agree on the app. The app is a great tool. Michael, what comes to your mind? Of course, your party. We want to hear about that too. I'm excited. I'm a hotelier. I'm walking into HITEC next week. Yeah. What are 2 plus things I need to know?
It's all about mindset.
Okay.
I say this respectfully, the buy side and the sell side. Hoteliers have a mandate. Hoteliers have challenging situations. Hoteliers have to do the same with less sometimes, and that could be technologically, it could be staffing, it could be many other reasons. So there's pressure. Everyone assumes that the commercial side is pressure. I'm a senior vice president of sales. I'm a new account manager. I have KPIs to meet. Hoteliers on the buy side have different but same pressures. They need to maximize and rationalize why there's an investment that they're coming to HITEC, which is the #1 hotel technology show in the world. It is the World Cup of hotel technology. So it's important to have what I would say to when I discuss or advise with hoteliers is you need to have a skeleton plan, and then you need to have a mindset and an ability to be organic. So it's a analytical plan and an organic philosophy. Because as a skeleton, I need to hit, I got to talk, I need to understand. I have this, we have this mandate or this strategy. We have to find 4 vendors for this, that, and the other thing. But you also need to be open to what you don't know is coming at you, meaning not in the industry, I mean, meaning at the event. There is an obvious tsunami of change within our industry, tsunami of innovation, tsunami of change. Having the ability to pivot slightly, to be open. You're going to be inundated with commercial people, sort of like Nick and I believe hopefully we do it at a higher level, who are really want to engage with you because we have our own mandates to create momentum and to create relationships that are viable for our organizations. So you need to have a skeleton plan focused on your mandates that you as a leader or the managers who are working with you or sending you to HITEC will deem a successful result, but be open to what is possible at HITEC.
That's good. So if we put that into action, like on the organic side, right? Would you say a practical idea would be carve out time where you're not in meetings so you can explore? I mean, what would your expertise say is how do we put action behind being organic? Because I do think that, these buyers just get inundated, right? With wanting meeting after meeting and party after party. So what would be your best advice for?
Yeah, it's a great point. And this is what I also, when I discuss and these are our friends for Nick and I and others, many of these people are friends. This is a community of leaders on all sides of hospitality technology. I always advise them to intellectually and mentally prepare themselves with a suit of armor that is not a negative. It's a positive suit of armor. What it means is it's okay to say, I don't have time now. Please send me a LinkedIn thing. It's okay to say, not for me. And be efficient with everyone's time. So you need to be open, but you need to also have the ability in a polite way, hopefully for all parties, same on the commercial side, to be able to walk away from a conversation after 10 seconds if it's just not for you or you don't have the time at that second. But be open-minded, be open to what's possible, but you have every right to hopefully in a professional way, which is usually the case, or a positive way, manage your time. But to your point, what's very important, then I want Nick's opinion on this, is it's not scheduled unstructured time. You're going to HITEC to learn, both in the great sessions, the organized sessions, because you have as a hotelier, you have a full pass normally, usually, Nick, right? The hoteliers have a
They
wide
usually
pass.
do for all the educational sessions as well.
So you need to take advantage of that while meeting all your skeleton plan of I need to tug this, I need to do this, I need to negotiate that, and then still have the ability to socialize, listen, learn, because that's what you're there for.
Love it. What do you think, Nick? What does that
I think
spark?
Michael said it extremely well. And that part where I like the idea of the suit of armor, but also the openness. So that's the part where I think I've seen so many times at HITEC where someone thinks that a certain vendor's not worth their time or they're not sure exactly what they do. And you would be surprised how many stories I've heard about people where they find something that they really did not know they needed. And that's especially true now where the rate of change is so fast right now and there's so many things that can be done. I think it really is worthwhile to go in with a very, very open mind, see who you meet and all the things that happen. Because really there are so many exciting things happening right now in our industry.
You're right. It's moving so fast. And we're going to bring in a question right now and kind of sprinkle it in. So what about current vendors versus new vendors? So if you have your tech stack that you're already using, those vendors like to take that time to meet with you, but then you have, new vendors that you might need to see. So what would be your advice to the audience wanting to know, how do I balance that? Like, I want to see my current vendors, but we can talk to them anytime, versus new vendors. We have 3 days to do this. Michael, what are your thoughts?
So there is mission critical relationships, mission critical vendors. If you have in your tech stack, these are my go-to, this is my 80-20. You make sure you schedule those meetings. And if there are secondary existing vendors in your tech stack that are they're still important, but they're not mission critical, then you can say, hey, you know what? We'll speak in July, we'll speak in August, whatever the case may be. It's so important, to Nick's point, to have both the intellectual, emotional, and physical capacity to be open-minded to what you don't know, you need to know. What you don't know is even available. Everyone in this industry is smart, because you don't survive or thrive or grow in our industry if you're not honest, if you're not a people person in many ways, but most importantly, if you're not intellectually powerful. So therefore, use that power, compartmentalize in your day-to-day. This is a new opportunity. This is a new idea. This is mission critical to make sure that we're hitting our whatever guest satisfaction scores or financial, optimization goals, or back of the house or front of the house. So have your list, your go-to mission critical requirements on vendor side, your interactions, but definitely explore, definitely build relationships. It's as Nick said beautifully, like, you don't know, sorry folks, all of us, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's around the corner, what's in the next booth. You don't have to see every single vendor, but you need to be open to what's the art of the possible in regards to hospitality technology.
Love it. Nick, anything to add to that? I'm sure you have thoughts on that, because, it's such a big question, right? Current, new innovation, all of it.
And I think you really do want to keep your mind open to both. And the other thing that we see a lot of at this conference is people getting together with each other and talking about best practices, what's working, who they should be talking to, which companies are doing things right, which ones are maybe seeing some challenges, and how you can address those. And I think that there really is no better time than HITEC to be able to cover all of those things. So if you look at it as a combination of seeing the new things that are there, but also building a bigger bridge to those existing relationships that you have, and making those even stronger. I think both those things are incredibly important.
So important. Well, and I mean, connecting people while there. I have a great connection, Nick, that you made for me just at HITEC last year. I mean, you just pulled me in with someone else, and that became an awesome connection. And you did that just out of kindness. So I would say, even connect people where you can, because a lot of times two people may not know they should meet. And so it's always helpful to do that as well. And we appreciate you guys doing that for people.
But let me add he did not do that out of kindness. And this is not just self-serving because we're on your podcast. We're not just nice people. Hopefully we're nice people, but it's because of purpose. He did not make that introduction unless he felt there was significant value for the person he was introducing you to.
Yep. I love that. Very true. No, it's true. And we have some comments and questions coming in, but before we get to those, we want to talk a little bit now and shift into the vendor realm, right? So we've talked a lot about how do hoteliers manage their time? What should hoteliers do? But there's this whole side of HITEC where we have vendors, and this will be my 11th. So not 27, but not first, right? And primarily I've been a vendor. And so I know what it's like to walk in. Actually, my side note, my first year at HITEC, Baltimore, 2012, fresh out of college, I wore brand new heels because I didn't know better. I was like 23 years old. And I've never been in more pain in my life. So Nick, when you said that, I'm like, yes, because I thought I will take any shoes right now. Just someone give me their shoes. So aside from that though, Nick, tell me from a vendor's perspective, and then we'll go over to Michael, like, what would be 2 goals as a vendor walking in this year into Indianapolis? Like, what should they be thinking and doing? Because there's a lot of pressure on them too.
There is. And It's a game, and it's a game you want to win. So the work you do ahead of time, which we're getting very late on that part, is incredibly important, because by the time you get there, a lot of the key hoteliers are going to have schedules that are mostly full. Now, what I'll say is what not to do. Let's start with that. I cannot even tell you how many generic messages that I've gotten in my email that is stop by the booth for this exciting things that are not necessarily terribly exciting. And it is very obvious that they're sending the exact same message to every single person on the list, because I do not own any hotels right now. So I should not be in one of those cadences. And that part to me is, especially if you're doing something where your message is that you create really powerful email campaigns. If that's your message and you're sending the exact same message to the entirety of HITEC, to me, that's not necessarily the best look. So being very targeted in your approach for the people that you want to see and why there's value in that for them, because you are competing with 380 or whatever the number is, really strong, good vendors that are there. So really looking at what is it that brings value into my booth. And it could be that you're doing a fun giveaway, or you've hired a booth babe like Michael Choen to stand up in your booth to be there to bring in the traffic, or some reason that you are getting people to come and see you and showing that. So that part to me is very important. And as many of those as you could schedule in advance, then you should. So when I was on the Amadeus side in Newmarket, I would start my outreach for HITEC literally almost 6 months before the event. So I would get my key meetings and dinners and things I wanted to do, and I would start those earlier. And I know Michael, he starts planning for his HITEC literally a year out. So he's already thinking about what he's going to do next. And that part is incredibly important because of what you're competing with. And then the other side is, once you're there, once you're in the game, no matter how hard you may have gone the evening before, you need to be at your booth early, ready to go, big smile on your face, and really ready to engage people, because this is an impression you're making for your entire organization. So if your shoulders are slumped and you look like you're not happy to be there, then people are not going to want to engage with you. So you want to have a very open attitude, a big smile, and really invite and welcome every single person into your booth, because that's the other part, is you really never know what's going to lead to what could potentially be a really large piece of business or something that really matters for your company. And then the other part is for each person. I cannot tell you how many people I know that wound up finding new positions at HITEC. So I know that openness and being there and being on your A game, it can make really a huge impact on your career. So be there, be ready, and show up well.
So good. I'm encouraged right now. I'm like, yes, let's do this. Michael, what do you want to add to that, actually? And then I do want to talk a bit too about what you said, Nick, on like finding new positions. But Michael, what would you say to our vendors? You work with many. I'd love to hear your take.
Well, I've worked with many, as Nick and I both have, and many others who are watching. You know, I've been a senior executive at many tech vendors as well. That's why we are who we are, and we're very fortunate to have these experiences and positions in the industry. Look, there's old school and new school, and I'll explain what that is in a second. And then there's pre, present, and post. It's rare that you're a vendor with such incredible, impactful, perfectly positioned technology that you can buy a booth, show up at HITEC, and everyone comes to you. The mountain comes to Muhammad. You need to have a outreach, focused research, messaging, LinkedIn. You need to understand on the present that you have to have some level of tight, short, engaging demo, that if you are fortunate to have some time of a person who you don't know, but you think there may be a possibility, that 30 seconds, the first 30 seconds, it's a cliche, but that's what's going to either hook them or they're going to walk away, like we talked about hotelier strategies earlier. So you need to have that, not drilled, but you need to have that cadence clearly disseminated with your sales team. If it's an individual small organization or a large organization, you need to have a consistent, engaging message about why you're special and why they need to spend time with you and hopefully have conversations with you after. And then the post, which is the biggest thing, I think Nick and I know this from years of experience, is people don't follow up. Now, and if they do, it's so generic that it's meaningless. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, and I'll be brief, is old school, new school. There's people like Karen O'Neill, who's now the SVP at Sonify. She is the master of traditional, very well organized. I hope you don't mind, Karen, if you see this, I called it old school, but very methodical, systematic, getting prepared, getting her people prepared, getting the meetings prepared, having it all 3 weeks in advance, and many others that Nick and I and you, Jasmine, know that are real pros at that. But what's happening now is you have to lean into AI enhanced, metadata driven BDR. So again, and I'm not showing for us, but it's nice. We've developed an AI metadata driven BDR system that we're implementing for our vendor clients, large, medium, and small. What it does is that there's intelligent outreach weeks before HITEC, or weeks before a trade show, or weeks before a product launch, whatever it is, that actually gets to Nick's point of the generic message that doesn't know that he's not a hotelier with no hotels. We're like, hi, Michael, just saw that your son won this award and it's great, and you were at this conference with him and everything else. We're at HITEC. I know that you're involved in IP networks and managed service providers. I think our technology would be valuable to you. Can you set up a meeting? That's hard to do in a onesie twosies 2014 version. Now there are systems and technologies and advisors, but more importantly, those technologies are out there that you can optimize and implement. This, by the way, folks, is for next HITEC. You're not doing any of this part. This part,
No.
this HITEC. For next HITEC, you need to do the research and understand that there's pre, present, and post, old school and new school strategies that have to be prioritized by senior leadership in your organization, or if you're a founder or a startup, you need to set time and a little bit of money aside to make sure you're going to have the most effective ROI for the appropriate investment that you've made to booths and parties and travel and everything else. So that's really where I want that to resonate with the vendor side.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really helpful, and we're learning so much. So we'll have to revisit that too in January, right? Several months before next year's HITEC. But that brings in a good question that I'm going to sprinkle in here again. Nick, I want to hear your take on what is a proper follow-up, handling that. I've seen it done differently. And then Michael, I'd love to hear from you too, but Nick, in your expertise, like what would you tell me if I said, okay, Nick, I met, let's say 30 plus really good, I had 30 great conversations. What would you tell me if I was your sales rep of timely, actionable, and follow-up that stands out versus just kind of what Michael was saying, the canned?
It's a fantastic question, Jasmine. So thank you. What I would say is because they're seeing so many people that their schedule is going to start to get jam-packed. So what I really like to do is with those 30 meetings that I had, I would like to have the next step agreed upon during the meeting you have at HITEC. Yeah. So whether that is 2 weeks out, a month out, whatever that is, a concrete next step that you actually put on the calendar. And then if things need to shift or move, that you do that. Because what I can tell you with certainty, if you have a squishy next step that's like, well, let's connect after HITEC, and then you start seeing those emails, your chances of being ghosted are going to be relatively high because your message is going to be buried in with the other 300 messages that they're getting. But if you have a concrete next step that you have that's on the calendar from your meetings at HITEC, you're going to be in a much better place than the rest. And then the other part is any action items that you take down, you make sure that you're doing exactly what you said you were going to do. So that would be my advice on that.
Great. And Michael, building on that, and I'm going to add a comment to it from one of our listeners. So from the vendor side, there's a mentality of let's get a deal done, or just because we spoke, you must be interested. So weaving in what Nick said on follow-up, how would you address this mentality?
So a couple of things. So related to that mentality from the vendor side, let's call it the commercial executive side. Take a breath between meetings. Take a beat. Document what you talked about. Remember the hook that worked. What was the button that you pushed? Your job is to push buttons. These are legitimate buttons. What was the pain you identified, and which of your medicines resonated with the prospect? Take a beat. Do not schedule back to back to back to backs. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes between meetings. You'll have a much more quality experience around what you've accomplished. Remember, that meeting potentially was 3 months in the making, and you finally got them to your booth or a coffee or at a social event, and you're already kind of looking at the next one who's sitting in the aisle for that's fine. Schedule them, or you can take a beat and document what worked out of that meeting. So then when, as Nick very clearly and eloquently said, your follow-up, by the way, you have the trigger event is now booked for the follow-up, but you also have the true impact of why the conversation went well. So to the next point to this question of, vendors live in a fantasy world. They think that anyone who spent time with them is a interested prospect, because that's how we are wired as humans. And especially when your entire raison d'etre, for the Americans, that means reason for being, is to get engagement and to get people to like you as a company. Let's be real, to like you as a company, maybe even like you as an individual, to build some trust so that they're going to allocate time, money, bandwidth, and their reputation on the buy side to you. You need to understand that people are going to be generally nice. They're, as to that question from the unnamed LinkedIn user, people want to get out of conversations in a nice way. Many times people want to say nice things so that they feel good, you feel good as a vendor, but there really was nothing there. The vendors, especially an experienced one, which is totally appropriate, they take it as gospel. They take it as, oh my God, this is like someone from a top 4 major global brand spent 10 minutes with me and said that our XYZ widget had some value. I'm going to write that down, call the CEO, said, so-and-so from so-and-so global organization is interested in our product. That is fantasy. It's the beginning of a relationship. It's a beginning of a dialogue. It's a beginning of a dance. That's where from the vendor side, you need to live in reality. You need to stay within your lane. You need to keep your mandate clear. You need to be professional. You need to be engaging. You need to work, as Nick said, you need to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning every day of, I don't care what event it is, even if you were out to 4 o'clock in the morning the previous night. And you need to keep it realistic, but focused.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I have a lot of questions and comments coming in here, guys, which is awesome. So what I want to do now in our last few minutes together, I'm going to ask one question that is not coming in live, but came in before, because I think it's really important, and Nick touched on it. And then I'm going to go to our live comments and questions here. But Nick, Michael, really, either of you, just jump in. You guys are great at this. Let's say I'm coming into HITEC, not as a vendor, not as a hotelier, but I'm looking for a new career opportunity. I'm looking for a new job. And Nick, you touched on this earlier. I love what you said. Back in the day, I found a new job at HITEC from another job, right? Not even trying. So it does happen. We don't talk about it as much. Michael, you had mentioned it is kind of a secondary topic, but it is important.
Sure.
Either of you jump in. I want to hear from each of you. I'm walking in. I need a new opportunity. Nick, looks like you have something on the tip of your tongue. Let's hear it.
Well, I did find a maze at HITEC. So 3 years ago, HITEC, I had a meeting with Jamie Job and Mike Kenny, who I'd known both for a very long time. I was looking at a lot of different opportunities, and I had quite a few really good meetings at HITEC. I went there sponsored by myself as I was just trying to find what's next at the stage of my career. And I had a meeting right outside the convention center with Mike and Jamie. And that's the first time I saw what became Amaze Insights. And I was absolutely blown away. And it was also the feeling I had sitting down with Jamie and Mike. I knew these were the exact people that I wanted to build and grow a company with. So it was incredibly exciting for me. It still took a little time after that to really figure everything out and launch, but that was HITEC 3 years ago. So when we look at that, we've been able to do a lot in those 3 years, but I'm so grateful to HITEC for that opportunity. So I would say to someone that is looking for that next option in their career, if you are able to get yourself to Indianapolis and spend time, there really is no better place to look for a new opportunity, because you literally can walk through the entire hospitality tech landscape and meet as many people as possible, and just be upfront about why you're there. Like, I am looking for the next thing. And then look for people like Michael that are really well connected and know people, because there's a high likelihood that he also knows of companies that are looking for people with a specific skill set. So doing that, I think, is incredibly valuable for someone that is looking for what's next in their career.
Love it. I hope everyone's taking notes. Michael, what do you think?
I'm going to start with a cliche, which Nick knows is half my vocabulary anyways. This business is about people. Hospitality industry is about human people. It's about interaction. It's about dialogue and about respect, etc. It's hard when you're in your early stages of your career in this industry to have that, built-in network. You have to earn it. You have to live it. But what's important is you need to focus on the fact that in-person interaction, so once a year, twice a year, going to major industry events in our scenario, is actually mission critical. You need to be very respectful. Like, if you're looking, this is life. If you're looking for your next job while you're there on the dime of your present job, you need to be respectful. This is a blinding example of the obvious, but Nick and I have both seen people who are sort of, what's the word, Nick? It's like so obvious what they're doing, and it's damaging, thirsty, and they're disrespecting their existing gig, and it's damaging in the eyes of the leaders of other opportunities how they're doing it. So it actually is a negative on how they're networking. Networking is a subtle art. You need to learn it. You need to make mistakes, like we all do every day still. And that's one of my key things. But I will say this: we need to do more in this industry, which I need to do more. Well, we need to do more in this industry about creating opportunities and fostering, the careers of young executives on both sides of the equation. We don't do enough. And one of my big initiatives when I was leading organizations, and I still, when we're advising larger organizations and mid-size, you need to put the investment in your young people who are early, first 5 years, 7 years of their career. Get them to HITEC. Get them to HITEC. I know they're not like, well, why am I doing that? They're not a senior or middle level commercial person or IT director. Doesn't matter. Your best and brightest, figure it out. Get them on the plane, get them on the train, get them to HITEC, even if it's for one day. Now, that's a segue from what you talked about. But what that does is, there's 400 people that make all the decisions in our global multi-billion-dollar industry. It's 400 people. That's my belief. You, as a career search or a job search, you need to penetrate in a positive way. You need to LinkedIn it up months in advance, as to Nick's point. You need to build relationships virtually, and then you need to actualize them in person at HITEC.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I think that's excellent advice. And actually, kind of building on that, you're talking about relationships and building. We had a comment from Carlos here, and it's more of a comment, but feel free to address it, gentlemen. So from an attendee lens, here are 3 core objectives I would recommend. Discover insight, discover what's next, access, build meaningful relationships, and action, leave with a plan. I think that really, attendee, yes, but looking for a job. I'm a vendor. I really think this applies to everyone. Thank you, Carlos. Nick, thoughts on that?
I think Carlos captured it extremely well. And Carlos, I hope to see you at my session Thursday at 11:15 a.m. on Exhibit Stage A, so you can help harness the digital world to build your brand, because I think it fits very well with what you said. So I had to get that plug in there too. So thank you for that opportunity, Jasmine.
Yes, we can't wait for your session. Last question we're going to take, and then we will be closing out. And thank you all for the comments too. So much good interaction. But my friend Tim wants to know, Michael, if you want to grab this one first, and then we'll go to you, Nick. What coordination or communication tool would be most effective to help in our HITEC efforts? I'm throwing you guys a
no. This is fun. So and thank you, Tim. I look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll break some bread. And same thing with Carlos. Look, there are the tech, and then there's non-tech. The brain and the heart. That's the tool you need to focus on at HITEC. Yes, the multitude of CRMs and WhatsApp and communication tools and everything else. Folks, you need to go human to human. You need to have your alignment. You need to think intellectually of why and what I want to accomplish on either side, vendor or hotelier. And you need to really kind of get to a good level so you keep yourself consistent during the event. Of course, you're going to have, here's a very simple rule that I've done. And actually, Zoe, one of our lead gain advisors, brought it up in our internal HITEC gain meeting this morning. When you meet someone there's something there, you go on LinkedIn, you take a picture of their LinkedIn profile so that you have at the end of your day, or more importantly, at the end of your night, you have 15 photos in your phone of all the LinkedIn profile pages of all the people that you had some interaction with, both if it's client side, partner side, employer side, whatever it is. That's HITEC moves fast. It's the morning, it's the trade show, it's long evenings, it's tons of conversations. You take photos, you say, oh, is this you? Can we connect? Great. And then you take a photo of that person's LinkedIn profile. And then in your photo collection on your phone, you have 27 photos. And then after you go, now I understand. And you remember and you add the notes. Simple. But it's not only about technology. It's about, like I said, the heart and the mind. You got to be in the right place. You got to be in the right philosophy of why you're there. And because that intention, driven by technology, driven by tools, driven by a mobile device, driven by LinkedIn, is the extension of what you as a person are bringing to the event.
I think you said that extremely well, Michael. And what I really like about LinkedIn, and this is where I think that's a great idea from Zoe, and she's fantastic. Using LinkedIn Messenger to me is one of the most valuable tools at something like HITEC. And the reason for that is it links that communication thread to the person and their background, and it does the same thing for yours. So when they look at the message, rather than if it's in email, text, or any other way, they immediately know, oh, this is Michael Choen from Gain, and then they can look at your profile and what you do, what you bring to the table. So when you have those conversations, I really like using the LinkedIn Messenger tool because of the fact that it then links your professional background and what you're doing to that other person. It allows you also to quickly pop out and see like who else you may have mutual connections with and other items, but it really shows them exactly who you are. And that's why you do also want to make sure you're optimizing your LinkedIn profile, because that a lot of times when people meet you, they are going to go to that and look at who is Michael Choen, who is Jasmine. Oh, that's right, Jasmine's with Affixify. This is what she's doing. And then I saw that video she did. XYZ.
Love it.
So just to wrap up quick, I know we're running out of time. So first of all, that's a lot coming from, and I'm going to say it, one of the leading meisters of LinkedIn, which is Nick Horgan, and I'm going to promote his session at HITEC because it is invaluable, and it's super important that people understand that they need to put some time into LinkedIn, again, not just for HITEC, and they need to sort of de-emphasize other things that they may be doing, thinking that are driving engagement. Stick in the LinkedIn lane, not exclusively, but that should be one of your core tools every day, all the time for your business. So that's really important. And listen, and networking and face-to-face. Thank you, Nick, for the plug. But we are a networking organization. We run and lead VIP networking events at multiple conferences. But HITEC is our number one. It is the top of our list. And we're very fortunate that's been successful over the last years. And we're having a major successful event at the Dallara IndyCar Racing Car Factory Experience. Excuse me, I've been saying that 14,000 times for the last 2 days. But listen, it's really important that you focus on the tech in a mobile fashion, and then you deal back to network and cloud after the fact at HITEC. And then keep focusing on working the room with the highest positive intentions. That's super important.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't be more correct. You guys are having so many great comments come in. Kate, hi, so glad you joined us. I can't show all of the comments today, but there are such great feedback here. And guys, on that note, I have to say, Nick, I went to your session last year. Michael, I went to your party last year. Both were highlights. So Nick, tell us where we can hear you talking next week. We do not want to miss it. You were overflow only last year. So tell us about yours. And then Michael, I want to hear more about the party too, for those that get the invite. Nick, where can we find you next week?
Perfect. So walk into the main exhibit hall, turn left. And if you just keep walking, on the front side is exhibit hall stage A. It will be 11:15 a.m. on Thursday, June 19th. And I am unbelievably excited about this session. I've only been thinking about it for right around a year now. So I want to bring massive valuable information to everyone is there. And I did also get a little something from John Elston, which he agreed I can share with the entire group. So last year, I told people how to optimize your profile. This year, anyone who attends is going to have access to an AI that will actually do the work for you. So very excited to be able to share that with everyone. And just to be clear, this is not something where it's going to be sign up for my newsletter and you'll get this, or by that, like there's no pitch, there's nothing. This is just something you will get that will help you to optimize your profile and do big things in the industry. So thank you to John for that. And I'm so excited to be there for that session.
John is awesome. Another person you connected me to. So thank you, Nick. And Michael, the party. I'm on calls like all the time and I'm hearing like, oh, what about this gain party on Tuesday? So there's a lot of buzz. For those that maybe are curious or would like to know more, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So we're very fortunate. This is the third year in a row. The first year, as Nick knows, we had a very successful VIP networking event on the Prime Tuesday evening of HITEC, because that is the Prime Tuesday evening and will always be in the Prime Tuesday evening HITEC at the Hockey Hall of Fame. And then we had a wonderful engagement. We bought
with the Stanley Cup, Michael. Don't leave that part out. You made something happen that my entire life, my dream was to see the Stanley Cup, and you made that happen, Michael. Sorry to interrupt,
absolutely,
but really,
my
mom was so happy because there's a picture of my brother Lee and me in front of the Stanley Cup. So that was awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
Now Nick is getting into that, so I'll be real quick. And Nick remembers the speech I gave at that event when I was 16 years old. I'm from Canada. I lived in the Toronto area, and I was at the Hockey Hall of Fame at that room, that hallowed room. And I said to my dad, someday I'm going to do something special here, like an event or something like that. And then my dad passed away a year later, unfortunately. And I really felt it when we did this event at this room at the hallowed hall with the Stanley Cup. And I said it in the speech, and because that's sort of who I am, I guess, quite transparent. And it resonated with a lot of people. And it was organic. But what that meant was, the ability for us as leaders to have every kind of safety net access has some of the greatest parties of the history of my life. I've been to 18 HITECs. I will be at their party. I love those gentlemen and ladies. They do it great. But we have found a different recipe, perhaps, of really creating some glue between the industry, between investors, between hotel owners, and obviously vendors. And our event is at the Dallara Indy Racing Car Factory Experience. It's on the Prime Tuesday night from 6:30 to 9:30. It's invite only, so you need to. I'm going to do the plug. It's our sponsor. Our title sponsor is I Reckon You, amazing middleware and CRM and other marketing tools. They're the title sponsor. You reach out to them for an invite. Zucchetti, you reach out to them. Hover, Bodie, Techni Infinity Ventures. We have a relationship with a pure play venture capital firm that we have a activation at HITEC around startups for travel and hospitality. They're one of the sponsors. Craftable, great people. FCS Solutions, Adyen, HRS, Amaze Insights, and the folks at Fetch are doing a really good, really interesting promotion where you can actually pre-order your drinks, special drinks, 3 specialty cocktails right now using the Fetch app that has a QR code that pushes it to the Gain VIP event on next Tuesday evening. So when you show up, you already have your pre-ordered drinks done. So what I'm getting at, I got all the sponsors, and I hope if I miss somebody, it's not my fault.
I think you may be able to track the buses as well, Michael.
Yeah, that's why Nick is here.
Track my shuttle.
Of course, Bhavin, I love you. So Track My Shuttle is the official sponsor of our bus transportation services. We have organized 4 yellow school buses that are going to be picking up folks from 4 different prime locations, hotel locations around the convention center, as well as a 13-minute Uber or Lyft drive for folks who just gang up in an Uber, and it's hopefully quite cost.
And Michael, I'm going to tell jokes on one of them. So if you get on the bus I'm on, I'm going to entertain the crowd for it. I just made that decision right now, right here for you, Michael,
Okay.
and for you,
So
Bob.
there you go. We got all the plugs in, I believe, but hopefully, thank you, first of all, Jasmine, for that. And we look forward to seeing many, many people there. Do reach out to the sponsors. It is invite only, and then you'll get an RSVP. But we're obviously very open and welcoming to, a little more on the hotel side would be nice, because we have lots and lots. But if you're a hotelier, this is the place you need to be. And also, listen, it is about a community. So there are other great events on Tuesday and Wednesday. Our partners Muse have an event, and so on. There's lots of great ways for people to network, to build their relationships, to grow their businesses, and to find a job.
Love it. So good, guys. This has been awesome, educational. Thank you, everyone, again, who left comments, asked questions. I wish we had time to get to all of the comments, but this will be on YouTube as well. So for anyone that wants to go back, you can access this on the Affixify page. You can also access this on our YouTube. We will be posting an article about this as well. And gentlemen, my last question for you, I think I know the answer, but starting with Nick, where can our audience get in touch with you if they really want to talk more?
Well, I'm very shy about LinkedIn, so I'm hard to find there, but I suppose I will share. LinkedIn is the easiest place to find me. So Nick Horgan. And if you Google my name, I think my LinkedIn is at the top, and that's without even doing any SEO. So very easy to find on LinkedIn, or if you want to send an email, if you are more old school, nick@amazeinsights.com works. And I just want to say thank you to Jasmine. You really do have a future as a talk show host, because you are truly exceptional. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love this. It's like a side passion of mine. And Michael, how can our audience get in touch with you?
Well, before I do that, let me just say that Affixify is a heck of a platform. Oh. And Nick and I would not be here just for the pub. What I'm getting at, you guys have built something really special, and it's only going to scale. So it's a live endorsement, frankly. Second thing is, my name is Michael Choen, it's like the Jewish John Smith. So I can't just say like Nick, search, because then you're going to find Donald Trump's former lawyer. So I am Michael C. Choen on LinkedIn. It is the best way to reach out to me, and gainadvisors.com. But more importantly, go to the Gain LinkedIn profile, because that's, as many folks in the industry tell me, we're very active on LinkedIn as an organization. And because we have 28 Gain advisors, I'm very fortunate to. There's lots of cross, cascading of posts and really great content and so on. That's where you find us, and that's where you find me. Or it's michael.choen@gainadvisors.com.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. For our audience, we handpicked Michael and Nick to be on this session. Could not have asked for better education leading into high tech. I learned a lot. I also learned we're going to start this much earlier next year. We'll do a few lead up sessions, but guys, thank you so much. We cannot wait to see you in a week in Indianapolis. And for our audience, we will be back the week after high tech for a recap episode. So thank you all, and we'll see you on Monday.